Creighton's a little similar to Xavier, 5 starters, all averaging in double figures. They can really score the basketball. They also defend really well. What's your message to your team going into this game?
Yeah, no, this is going to be a very, very big game, tough game for us. I think I'll start with this with Creighton. I think the record is very deceiving. If you look at their non-conference schedule, we played a difficult one. Theirs is significantly more difficult. I mean, they played one of the nation's most difficult schedules, and a huge number of their games were played away from home as well. You throw in Kalkbrenner getting sick and missing 3 of those games. I think it kind of sets you up to feel like maybe Creighton isn't as good as everybody thought they were, and that is not true. I really believe that when the dust settles and we get towards the end of our conference season, you'll see that Creighton's right up there at the top or near the top. We have great respect for them. Experience, balance, scoring. In my mind, the key to the game is just to manage their transition game. They really thrive in transition. I feel like when Creighton is at their best, they do a great job in the half court with their sets and all the different things they run, but it's bolstered by the number of points they score off of transition. They play at a good pace and really have 5 different players that can hurt you when a game gets going fast. So, when a game gets fast, we have to be that team that can point, talk, match up, make it 5-on-5, and not give them those timely threes or those inside baskets that I believe that when they get, they're really difficult to beat.
When you're preparing for an opponent, how much of it is, hey, we're Xavier and this is what we want to do, this is how we want to play, or how much do you have to balance that with what Creighton's going to do or what an opponent might do to try to stop you from doing what you want to do? How do you sort of find that balance there in preparation?
Well, it is a balance. First, we can't reinvent ourselves every time we play an opponent. The things that we really believe in, we have to bring to the game. And, that's kind of like what we talk about when you go on the road. You don't want to watch us play away from the Cintas Center and kind of scratch your head and see us play kind of an uncharacteristic type of game where we do things differently than we do when we play in front of our home crowd. You want to be a team that you can be consistent with what are the things that we believe in and do well. But I also feel like, especially in this Big East Conference, the differences in styles is enormous. And you play a team like a Villanova, a very deliberate, really behind the three-point line, just kind of watching how their team's made up, and then all of a sudden you flip it quickly and you play Creighton. Creighton, much different tempo. Kalkbrenner's a much different type of player on offense and defense. So being able to go from one style to the next, that's when scouting and really, I think, respecting your opponent and trying to do the different things to make sure that we're ready.
Colby's been really solid all around all year. If you were looking for something to maybe point at the last 3 games, he's turned the ball over 14 times. Is that maybe him trying to be too aggressive, do a little bit too much, or how do you help him through a little bit of a stretch where maybe he's made some uncharacteristic plays?
Yeah, we're asking Colby to do a lot of things. He inbounds the ball against pressure late in the game. He leads our team in assists. He uses a ton of pick and roll actions. In transition, he's as good as anybody on our team of finding his teammates, but he has the ball in his hands a lot. So the volume of him making decisions is at an all-time high. Yeah, uncharacteristically, the last 3 games, he has turned it over, and at times that's hurt us. And I think the good part, we're addressing it with him. There's a few things that he can do to shore up his decision-making and ball handling, and I have no doubt he'll respond and fix that. But I think the good news is if he can cut back on his turnovers, we're starting to trend in the right way of turning it over a little bit less, which is good. As we move forward, you want to just see, like, you're not going to go from 13 turnovers a game to 5 all of a sudden, but I do think that 13 can become 11 or 12, and 1 or 2 possessions is a big deal, especially for us, because when we do shoot the ball, good things happen.
When you're going through the transfer portal process and you're looking for a point guard, do you remember, was there a moment when you realized that Sule was the guy? Like, how did that play out?
Well, first of all, especially in a situation where there's change from one coaching staff to the next, and you just like you can't just automatically assume we're going to get somebody. I mean, that's just not the way this works. I mean, everybody has choices, and being presumptuous that, hey, do we want him, or him? I think the way recruiting works a lot of times is you evaluate the prospect, you do your homework, you make sure there's an interest on their end, and then the first guy who says yes, that's what you do. I don't know if we will ever be in a position to say which one of these 5 do we want. I think it's just like these 3 are above the line. We've done our research, and let's hope we get it right. And that's really with Sule. We had a great opportunity, and we certainly recognized that he would be a good fit. What he's been able to do and the consistency he's played with has really been remarkable.
And when you got hired back here at Xavier, how quickly was it a process of, hey, we need to find a point guard? Like, when do you start looking? How quickly can you really dive into that? Do you wait until you have your assistant coaches in place, or how does that process play out?
Yeah, for sure. We made sure that everybody was, first hired. We had a full complement of coaches, and our staff was in sync because, you don't want to make too many decisions before that, just because there's varied opinions and relationships that you gain when you have an entire staff present. So I think we were patient enough to do that first, and then the follow-up after that would simply be, it was something that we needed. We knew that Dez could play the point guard, but one of the gifts that Dez brings to us is because of his size and his versatility. You could play Dez a lot of different ways, similar to Colby. Colby leads our team in assists, but he's not really our true point guard. Dez can do those things. But just looking at not only Paul Scruggs, but Dwan Odom transferred, and you lose Nate Johnson. We lost 3 guards, physical guards, 2 veteran guards. So we knew we needed a point guard. That was the priority.